Hi everyone, I'm John Griffin from Open North, and I want to welcome all of you to Code for All's 2023 Summit. This year holds a special place in the civic tech community's heart, as Code for All commemorates its 10th anniversary, culminating in its 4th annual online summit. Whether you're a familiar face or a first-time participant, you should know that the 2023 Summit is more than just an event. It's a global convergence of the Code for All core teams, along with their 31 member organizations, curates each year to foster unity within the global civic tech community. To celebrate their 10th anniversary, the network is kicking off a crowdfunding campaign and turning to their amazing community with a heartfelt ask. Throughout the duration of the summit, you'll have the chance to chip in an amount that feels just right for you. Your support is absolutely crucial in keeping the unity and empowerment of both the Code for All network and the Code for All Summit alive. In the screen and in the chat, we'll share a link where you can directly contribute to amplifying Code for All's mission and propelling their efforts in the years to come. Now, a few housekeeping items before we get started. During the session today, we'll start by hearing from each of our speakers. Following this, we'll have a group discussion, and then the room will be open for Q&A. If you'd like to ask any questions during this webinar, please type them into the chat window on YouTube live streaming. We'll try to address them during the conversation. A recorded version of the webinar will be available at codeforall.org and on our YouTube channel for future watching. Great, now let's get into it. The session you've joined today is called Decidim, Secret Sauce, Building an International Community Around an Open Source Project, and it's all about discussing the impact that the Decidim project has had at a global level and how the challenges of managing the growth of an international community have been addressed. Our speakers today are Ali Gonzalez. Working locally, Alejandra started with the products in the civic hacking brigades at Codeando Mexico in Monterrey, Nuevo Leon. She's currently responsible for advocacy and community, Codeando Mexico, and every day she continues to push civic technology from her place. Mario Serio is the General Coordinator of Digital Participation at Presidencia da República do Brasil, former coordinator of the Civic Innovation Program at Open Knowledge Brazil, and one of the maintainers at Operação Serenata do Amor. Neil Jimenez Busquetas is a political scientist specialized in public policy, citizen participation, and technological sovereignty. He's the president of the Decidim Free Software Association and is currently working in Fundação Ferrer at Guadalajara as head of the Decidim for Organizations project. Pauline Bassols is the chief operating officer at Open Source Politics, a company aiming to help cities and public institutions design citizen participation initiatives. She's been engaged in open source and civic tech since 2019 and is a member of the Decidim Association Coordination Committee. Thank you all so much for being there with us today. And again, apologies about my pronunciation for several of your positions and organizations. I'll let you take it from here. So now, with a brief walkthrough of the history, governance, and sustainability of the organization by Neil. Please take it away.
So, yes, hello everybody, and first of all, thanks to the Code for All team for having us today in this awesome summit. I'm going to explain a little bit of history about the Decidim, and also I'm going to have a quick explanation on what is the Decidim and what is used for. So for those of you who don't know the Decidim is a digital platform for citizen participation. It's a free libre open source technology developed on Ruby on Rails. The platform itself, it's used can be used by any type of organizations. We have from small organizations to large organizations like national governments or any others. The mainly case uses are the CIM is mainly used for strategic planning, for participatory processes, for organizing citizen assemblies, or participatory budgeting. Decidim able you to configure different types of participatory spaces that you can enrich through the different components that you can enable. And these components are, for example, meetings, surveys, proposals, voting, or many more. No, so here in the slide you can see a screenshot of an example. Let's talk a little bit about the history of the project and how it began. The Decidim was born in Barcelona, was a project launched by the Barcelona City Council on 2016. And the Barcelona local government needs to create a digital platform for citizen participation, and they decided to not just create another software or not just create another open source software, but build a floss project. Sorry, I forget to pass the slide, but build a floss project. In this idea of building a floss project, we created the Decidim as a citizen platform, as I say, to organize democratic processes. But we also created an open source project, which means that anyone can view, copy and modify it and distribute the code. So from the very beginning, we created our repository on GitHub where people can see the code and can participate and contribute to the code. But last but not least, we also defined the Decidim community as a democratic community, and for that reason, we created MetaDecidim, that is the platform where the community participates, where the community can propose new features, can participate in debates around the governance, like around the sustainability of the projects, or any other topics that we can discuss. So we are using the software itself. We are doing this called dog fooding to test also the software with our community. So let's talk a little bit on how we created this community and which are the main things that enables this international community. We, as I said, we opened to contributions from the very beginning. We also started doing regular meetings to discuss around technopolitics, the roadmap, new features, governance, and other topics. And also we started to building alliances with local partners. Most of them are technological companies that are building, that are offering the Decidim services around the world. We will talk about this later for sure. So the community, when the project began, it was located in Barcelona. The first installation was the Barcelona's installation, but then we started to deploy the Decidim in other local cities and local governments in Catalonia. But then 3 years more later, we arrived. We started to extend the use of the Decidim internationally. I think that the first local governments that started using the Decidim before the Catalan ones are based in France, and this was thanks to Open Source Politics, one of our partners, and Pauline is going to talk about this for sure in the following in the next moments. And the other two cities were Ciudad de Mexico and Helsinki, that were the first international cities to start using the Decidim. And then we are now here in 2023 that we are in more than 30 countries, and we have more than 400 democratic organizations using Decidim today. And as you could see, we have presence in Japan, in Latin America, and also a lot of the installations in Europe. So maybe you are asking yourselves how we manage contributions and participations with this rapid growth of the project and the community. So let's see quickly how we manage that. We have the code contributions and the non-code contributions. The Decidim community is open to everyone, so anyone can participate on that. And we have people from different backgrounds and profiles, and they can collaborate it through the code contributions, like making a PR or creating a module, or if you are a non-techie person, you can, for example, improve the documentation. You can also translate the Decidim to your language, or whatever you want to do. So let's see some beautiful examples of this community participation and what gives this to us. For example, the translation of the Decidim. At the beginning of the project, the software was only available in 3 languages, Catalan, Spanish, and English. We translated it to English in order to enable the possibility for other people around the world to translate the Decidim to their own language. And as you can see nowadays, the Decidim is translated in 33 languages. We have in Crowding, the platform that we use to manage translations, we have more than 30 project members, and we have a lot of words translated. So this is also a good example of this participation and contributions of our community. Another good example is this event that happened a month ago. This is a book bash party where we called the participation of the members of the community to help us to detect some bugs that of the next release that we are going to launch. So we have more than 50 participants from more than 8 countries. We collected around 118 reports, and this was an IRIT event. As you can see, we were some of us gathered in Barcelona in our headquarters, and the rest of the people were connecting through a video conference platform. And there also another group in France gathered together. And also it's important to see another example, a model made by a community member. The model I'm going to talk is called Decidim Awesome, and it's a model made by a company from the ecosystem, from Platonic first, and now it's maintained by Pokecode, and is being used by more of 14 organizations, and they have more than 20 contributors. This shows us how the technical architecture of the Decidim allows everybody to create solutions and personalizations on the top of it. So this is a key ingredient when talking about the expansion and adoption of the Decidim worldwide. Let's see quickly the governance model, because I'm maybe running out of time. When the project starts, it was mainly run by the Barcelona City Council, but then the community starts a participatory process to discuss how to create an autonomous organizations to manage the process. And at the end of this participatory process, we create the Decidim Free Software Association. And then 2 months later of the creation of that, a non-profit association, we signed an agreement with the Barcelona City Council, with local red, that is a public consortium, and the Decidim Association. This agreement, with this agreement, Barcelona City Council sits to the association the management and the maintenance of the source code, and also defines the product team composition. So thanks to this agreement, the public community management of the Decidim is materialized, and as it provides the Decidim Association with the necessary legal framework to be able to manage the Decidim source code in collaboration with Barcelona City and local red. So with this agreement, the association becomes the central actor of the project, thanks to the generosity of the Barcelona City Council. And let's talk about how this community is structured. Here you can see this red box is the association that have their own bodies inside: the General Assembly, the Coordination Committee, the Technical Office, and we also have around the community, that it's more liquid and more and less clear who is part of the community, because everybody can be part of it. As you can see, we have different type of members in our community. We have cooperative, public administrations, tech companies, universities, researchers, a lot of people working around the project. So let's talk last. Let's focus on the topic of that what we are going to discuss. We will analyze the impact of the Decidim by conceptualizing 3 layers of impact. We always said that the Decidim has a democratic impact because it's a model and a methodology of participation. We also have seen that the Decidim have an economic impact worldwide, because we have more than 20 companies providing the Decidim services around the world. And also the Decidim is an example on how to build a flawless project from the public sector. So that's all from my side, and I hope that you now knows better what is Decidim and how we work. And let's unveil the Decidim's secret sauce. Thanks.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Neil. Getting that in-depth look into Decidim was really informative, I know, for myself, and I'm sure for the audience.
Thanks.
All right. Well, we'll move over now then to the Q&A sort of panel session of this. So I think we're going to start with Mario, a question around why has the Brazilian government chosen Decidim? I know we saw this map of sort of the expansion of the work. So particularly what happened in Brazil?
Okay. Hello, greetings to all listeners and my fellow panelists. I'm very happy to have received this invitation. So I have 2 points about this decision, John. First, the Brazilian government picked Decidim because it's helped make decision-making more open and lets more people get involved. We worked with the experienced folks who knew about other participation tools in Brazil in the past. These experts did studies and tests they gradually use Decidim. Decidim is flexible, so they could test different paths for different participation projects, and it's very important for our context. The second, we knew using open source software like Decidim may have challenges, especially for big projects like a PPA Participativo in Brazil. The scalability issues are huge. No one had used it for 4.5 million unique users in just 2 months. But the Brazilian government worked with the Decidim community to make it work, showing their commitment and get more people involved in decision making. It's work for us. Thank you, John.
Amazing. Thank you, Mario. And a great case study for other governments looking to use similar participatory processes. All right, next question. We're going to pull Neil back up to the stage. I have a question for him. There we go. So you talked a lot about the bugs, but moving over to the features, how are the features typically chosen for new ones?
Yes, regarding the how this works and how the product team works with the community, we have this space in Decidim where everybody can propose new features, and this is like a community backlog for us that we are reviewing, and we are answering these petitions every week at least. And then also the thing is that we have our development model is very dependent on the public funding, mainly from the Barcelona City Council. So the product team has like their 12 high-level roadmap, let's say it's 12 months high-level roadmap that defines these high-level issues and features. But the definition and the implementation of the roadmap is done with a discussion with the Barcelona City Council. So Barcelona City Council also has influence on the roadmap we are defining. And the thing is that the Barcelona City Council makes a public contract, a public tender, and then different tech companies can win this public contract, and these tech companies start to develop the new features or the bug fixings that we decided. And the thing is that we have some limitations with that development model, very related with the public law, public contract laws that we have here in Spain. But we try to do it in a most participatory way possible, and also we are always reviewing this Decidim space that inspire us and also guides us where to go.
Amazing. Yeah, I do love always like the involvement of government in these processes, given this is really who you're building for. So
yes.
Wonderful. All right. If we have Pauline join us, we have a next question. Pauline, welcome.
Hi, John.
All right. So my question is, why has OSP decided to implement Decidim?
Well, we discovered Decidim in 2017, more or less, because there was a need in France to have those participatory platforms. And what we saw at first is that the cities were using like proprietary solutions. So we found that the fact that Barcelona City Council did their own solution and invested a lot of money in this was awesome. So we started to propose it to French cities, French institutions, and it's one of the main victories for us in France, at least, is that it has become like the norm to have open source software for participatory for public procurements and for participatory platforms. So that's nice. And related to the question you asked before to Neil about the contributions, it's also a challenge, in my opinion, to as partners or as community members to direct the public fundings. Maybe Mario also can tell a little about this, like the public fundings from foreign governments for Brazil or French cities towards the Decidim Association to fund the numeric common. So we are starting to find ways to do this with the association and also with the partners. but yeah, I think it's one of the challenges also to contribute back to the software.
Amazing. Yeah, and that great foresight on your end to sort of recognize the need in France and take activity there. Wheels are turning in my head because I know pretty much every government in Canada uses pretty much the same software participatory process. So obviously something I need to look into. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, and yeah, next we'll bring up Ali. Ali,
Hi.
welcome.
Hi, Jan.
So my question for you, what's the difficulty in making the code with Decidim public, and how exactly did it happen?
Yeah, well, in the case of Decidim, I think the Barcelona municipality was very brave in just, every government eventually builds software. The difference was that Barcelona, in a very idealistic way, decided to build a software that could be reused by other cities. And as a member of Codeando Mexico and also as a member of the Code for All network, I would say this is our, the best case scenario. This is software that was built with public money, and therefore the Barcelona government made it public. And a lot of governments are already building software, but that software is not public. So in this case, it's very obvious that the balance, even though it was more difficult to build this kind of software because it was not, hard coded to Barcelona, but since the beginning, it was thought as a software that could be reused. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. But it is obvious that the final balance is very positive. As certainly it has put Barcelona on the civic tech world map for its contribution. And you could say that it already has a global community, both of contributors and of people who are actively implementing the Decidim. Also, a lot of cities and a lot of countries are benefiting from this software, making it like a better software, a more robust, more secure. So to me, this is an example that we should be pushing for more and more.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks. And I really like that using public money, make it public line. That's a great one. I might steal that.
Nice.
Cool. Well, I think we can bring everybody back to the stage, and in the spirit of openness, I'm going to open the rest of the questions to the entire panel. So maybe to start off, again, open to anyone. How does Decidim, you feel like, improve the democratic quality of the participatory process? There we go.
Who wants to jump in? Okay, I can do that. Yes, maybe one of the things is that, as Mario said, digital platforms allows you to get in a large number of people participating at the same time, and that's a huge increase of the democratic quality. And also, I think that this another key thing of the Decidim is how it was designed from the beginning, because we have 3 principles on our social contract that are transparency, everything should be transparent in the platform, that are the other one is integrity. So if you are, for example, the mayor of your city and you have like admin permissions of your platform, even you are the admin, you cannot delete a proposal that you don't like, for example. So it's the integrity of the content made by the participants. And the last one principle is traceability, that allows the participants to know when the proposals are accepted or rejected and why, and know all these process and the different steps that a proposal has during a process. So yes, I think that Decidim can improve the democratic quality of the processes, but also we have to know that the Decidim is not like magic, and if you don't have a political volunteer, like if the politicians don't want to do a good participatory processes and don't design it a good participatory process, no matter if they use the Decidim or not, because the thing is how you design how many resources you dedicate to this participatory process. So the Decidim can help for sure, but it's not magic.
Yeah, wonderful point there. I don't know if anybody else wants to add to what Niels just said about making that participatory process more democratic.
Well, if I just something I thought about, it's like the fact inside the administrations that also changes the way the agents see the interaction with the citizens. And I think in the long term, maybe just not just with Decidim, but in general, it also changes the administration and the way people in the administration and sometimes elected people also see the relation between the citizens and the public administration.
Yeah, that's amazing in terms of like the actual capacity growth within that it brings. Ali, Mario, anything to add there? Or I'll jump along to the next question. Wonderful. In terms of, and so this is maybe a bit more for Pauline and Mario, but like, what does your experience being a Decidim partner sort of look like? And again, Ali, you can jump in as well with sort of other examples as well.
I have a story. This is important. The last days of voting for the PPA Participativo is a Brazilian participatory project. The program to combat climate change received extraordinary engagement, which led the program have the most votes and showing how civic society is putting pressure on the government and make the agenda in democracies. What this showed me, it's that the digital participation requires network engagement. The people and agendas with the most power are to choose that already circulate more easily in the digital environment, and so there is need for digital inclusion to be done. In Brazil is very big and have desigual inclusion for digital. It's show for us this process is that inclusion is important and the network engagement is very important for the propositions and programs make a success in the process.
Wonderful. I love a good story like that. That's perfect for sort of really like demonstrating the value here. Anybody else?
Yeah.
I go on, Eddie.
No, go ahead.
No, just quickly, I think it's great to be like a Decidim partner, more than just like a firm or an association in the community, I think, because you really are involved in the life of the association and the software. Like it's like a mark that says, okay, those people contribute back because as Neil talked before, there is a partnership policy where partners give a percentage of their activity to the association as a way to contribute back to the common. So for us, being a listening partner has been really a really nice thing, and it's also for the public administrations we talk to. something to say, like we are close, and maybe we have also a say sometimes in the developments or in some strategic things of the association. I think those are the main points. Ali, don't know what you think.
Yeah, actually I was gonna say that I think open source in general in the world has a lot of problem being sustainable, right? I think Decidim is it's it also has the same problem as other open source licenses, and the partner program is a way for the people who implement Decidim to give back some of it, and I think it's a genius way. Like I think other open source softwares that are looking into being sustainable, like I think this is a very good example of how to create a community. Like the partners are people who implement the Decidim and are interested in having a very good library. So this is a way for them to give back, and it's not that difficult. Basically, like just 3% of your contracts you return back to the Decidim, and the Decidim uses them to basically improve the Decidim. So to me, it is a win-win situation, and an example that I think other softwares can use.
We don't hear you, John.
I muted myself the one time. I apologize. But yeah, Ali, a wonderful model for the open source community to use. Wonderful. You all talked a little bit about sort of that growth and like learning process for organizations and partners of Decidim. I was wondering specifically around how is it to spread floss culture in public organizations?
Can I speak about this, John?
Please.
Okay, nice. Every government has concern about system security and integrity of this infrastructure. When I joined the team, the code used in Brazil based on Decidim was not yet available to the community. It's closed. Therefore, we had to engage and dialogue with the several public companies involved in the process to ensure that this would not pose any risks to government or the citizens. Of course, following our established good practice reading to use the open source. So I believe that every public agent who wants to use free software needs to prepare to have these conversations, the hard conversations, and be patient. I have a point about this. Brazil, for example, is a continental country with has 3 federative levels, more than 5,000 cities. There is a possibility of the federal government promoting mechanisms and services that can replicate free software experience in local context with the accumulated knowledge about the people and with the community that can orbit this ecosystem, providing labor and collaboration for the local experience. I see a strong power about this, but have a little challenges about the dialogue with the public companies about the security. And anyway, it's a part of the work the hacker and whatever is this.
Yeah, I think I'd love to hear more from everyone else. That risk part, I think we all know how governments approach risk. So hearing about that is wonderful. Anybody else want to speak to any of that?
Yeah.
Bringing floss in. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this is a question that excites me a lot because, again, I think like open source is a very good thing for everybody. It's a way for everybody to have access to very good software, but it lacks a problem of sustainability. And then within governments, it's a little bit more difficult because there's a lot of other reasons involved that may be obstacles for them to be adopters of open source, right? So one way would be that I would say in general, governments don't really have open source adoption policies. So that means that, it's basically up to the IT director or something whether to adopt or not open source. And I've seen governments that would rather be building everything from scratch, and instead of adopting a solution that's already solid. And the end, especially if they do not open that solution, the software may end up being very flaky, right? And that translates in flaky experiences for the end users, which in this case are citizens. So to me, it is very important it is very important should governments be implementing an open source policy. But because it's not very institutionalized, we don't talk about this in a global level, like that it should be an important topic. Governments do not necessarily adopt an open source policy, and much less a publisher policy. Like what I said, whatever software they build, why don't they make that software public? Well, a lot of it is because they fear. For example, they fear that if they publish the software, people are going to criticize them, right? Because of the quality of the code. Or they even fear that people are going to hack their software, because if they see the code, they're going to find vulnerabilities. So my message would be no, this is a very good example of how this works the other way around, right? Just publishing the software means more people can reuse it, more cities can reuse it, and therefore more cities can contribute and more people can contribute. And the same with the security, right? I was just reading earlier this year, GitHub on their automatic program of searching for vulnerabilities found a vulnerability within the Decidim, and then they notified the Decidim team and it got patched, right? And I wouldn't say that that can be the case for other softwares that the government develops that are not open, because nobody else is looking at the code. So for me, there are some difficulties, but there are also some other, a lot of good things that come from opening the code.
John, you're muted again.
I'm just not going to go on mute anymore. I apologize. You think I'd learn by now. Wonderfully put, Ali. I need to pull you into some of the conversations I have with government to sort of talk through what risk is. Cool. Does anyone else want to speak to that at all? Otherwise, I know we have a few questions from the audience. I was going to slide those in. I think the first question is for you, Neil. It's around, first of all, thank you for the walkthrough, but wondering if the city of Barcelona is still providing financial means to support the project. You got it right.
Yes, good question. Yes, Barcelona City Council is still providing a lot of financial resources to the project in two ways. Directly, we are receiving a public grant from the Barcelona City Council, so we can manage this money however we want. We are using it to pay to our workers, to the workers of the Decidim Free Software Associations. But we are only 3 workers in this association, so we have a really small team. But the main financial support of Barcelona City Council comes from what I already explained, from these public tenders, where the Barcelona City Council pays a huge amount of money to improve the features of the Decidim, or to create new features or whatever. For example, this past year, we've been doing a redesign of the whole front end of the Decidim, and this redesign has been paid through a public contract by the Barcelona City Council. So yes, we are we are so dependent on the Barcelona City Council support. And as we have already said, we are now trying to be more autonomous and more independent from these public grants, because we know that being so dependent of public money, it's risky, because maybe we will have some political changes here, and if that happens, maybe we can run out of money at some point. So now we are looking for this partnership policy to have more agreements with other local and public governments, and yes, we are trying to diversify our income resources in order to make the city more resilient and sustainable in a long term.
Wonderful, excellent answer. Thank you. And I believe the next question we have is from Roberto. I'm curious to hear more about Mario's experience with the scale of participation in Brazil.
Nice. Thanks for your question, Roberto. I have some numbers here about the volume of our process. We had 1.4 million people who actively participated of the process, voting, proposing in questions for the process. 4.5 million unique hits accessing the platform requests, and the last few days for voting, the volume of access reaches 10 million page views for days. The problems. We had several natural instabilities problems, such queries that needed optimization or cache implementation for the big numbers, for example, the page. For example, while the solution was not completed for our development team, our solution was to put more machines in the production. Another problem was the competition between the proposals. So that made people report the proposal that we are the top of rankings, so that Decidim could be higher than the proposal. We made a big effort at moderation. For example, it's very hard volume work with moderation, because the people report another proposal for Decidim or could the proposal is very difficult for us. For example, the people behave in the platform is very hard to the big volume of people. So
amazing, thank you, Mario. Those are some amazing numbers as well. Appreciate that. So last question we have from the chat is from Brew, saying thank you all for your contributions, and a little heart, which is really nice. And so in terms of what does the association and the project need to really gain more strength and independence? So I think this kind of follows up a little bit what you were saying, Neil, but it'd be really interesting to get everyone's perspective based on your experience.
Well, maybe I can start, but Ali, Nila, and I will have the same point of view about this, I think, as we are all in the coordination committee. Well, I think, and we had a process in Decidim, the dog food we are feeding the community with. We had a consultation asking about this question of the sustainability of the project, and what we need to do in terms of partnerships, in terms of finding fundings elsewhere, not just in Barcelona. What do we do with cooperation with universities and so on? So yeah, for me, the main thing right now is the sustainability of the project. But I think, as Ali said before, we have really good leads on how to make it sustainable. So yeah, maybe Nila and Ali, I let you complete.
Yeah, if I may continue what Pauline said, I think in general, open source software is suffering from the fact that a lot of people use it, or maybe even modern digital infrastructure depends on open source software, but there is very few models where we can give back to the software that we use. The partner model, it's a great model to start, but it cannot be all. As Neil said, the Barcelona government has been sponsoring the Decidim project since its inception, but we're actually open to other governments who want to become backers of the Decidim project. That'll be great, because it would mean that first, I mean, your city or your country can be, the main backer or a big backer of the project. You can have a say in the functionalities that get built. You can show to the world that you're part of this project, you're backing it, you're contributing to democracy. So to us, it is still an open question, but we are exploring it actively. And if there's anybody on the public that is interested in becoming a backer, just go to the website. There's a couple of ways in which you can do that, or just add us at our social handles. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you both. I'd be interesting as well. Yeah, hearing from Neil and Mario on any quick thoughts, what the future holds. Hopefully.
Yes, I already talked about that topic, but yes, just to say we also have an open collective page where people can give us donations, and yeah, I think that we need to work to diversify this our income resources, and I think that the Decidim model, what we've been done with just a little project of a digital participatory platform, it's a model that can be also replicated in other areas on public policies and other areas and other kind of technologies or projects. So if the same project success in the long term, that would be a great example on how to build another internet, on how to build another kind of technologies, and how to build an alternative to this monopolistic big tech market that we have now. So let's hope that the same would be a good example that survive the times.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mario, anything to add? Sort of, you good? Okay, cool. Well, I know as we're sort of running out short on time here, I wanted to turn over to each of you sort of for maybe a parting word or something that you've all covered quite a bit. And so anything that you feel has been missed or you sort of want to share with the audience today. So maybe we'll start. I'll start with Ali, just because you're on the screen next to me, and that's how we do things online now. If assuming Ali, you can hear us. Oh.
Yeah, sorry, I can hear you.
Okay. I was just asking everybody to take a turn, sort of closing, like what's something that maybe we haven't spoken to here, or really just something you want to maybe reiterate to the audience.
Yeah, to me the main message is this: as a civic tech person, as a person who loves tech for public good, this is the example I would want to see around the world, like just cities opening their software, their good software for public good. And I also want to see more cities and more countries like adopting already good open source and giving back to it, right? Because of course, the Decidim is a free license, you can use it free of charge, but also if we want to make good software sustainable, like we need to find ways to give back, and we're in that very exciting conversation within the Decidim community. So if you want to join, I personally, I started here because I installed Decidim for Mexico City, and the community received me very warmly. I've been to Barcelona already a couple of times, the third time in this year. So, my first time really getting involved in an open source community. It's a great community. So please, you're all very welcome to join, and see you there. Thank you.
Amazing. All right, I'll go with Pauline next.
Yeah, I totally agree with Ali first. And maybe one final word is I wish there are going to be like some European Union or like really big consortium that are going to put a lot of funds in the open source in general, in Decidim, if they can also. But I think there is, at least in France, I can see it in the government, a lot more people that are learning the free and open source software, and that wants to spread it at all levels and at the European level. So yeah, just a wish on my side.
Perfect. Mario?
Okay, I'm unmuted. Thank you very much for this space, for this speak. My message is, please build your open space, not just open source software. It's important to listen to everyone, and especially choose from underrepresented groups. I think this is my message. Is directly build the open space with all people.
Amazing. Really strong message. Thank you, Mario. And Neil, we'll end with you.
Yes, I think I had my close words. But yes, just to say thank you and to encourage everybody who's listening to us to participate in our community, and also to participate in the Decidim Fest, that is our annual conference that we will be having in a month in Barcelona. So also you are very welcome to be in Barcelona. And yeah, thank you very much to you, John, for moderating this panel.
Thank you all. I really enjoyed getting this chance. And yeah, again, wonderful hearing from you all. I hope the audience everyone's home, giving round of applause. And just before I sort of let everyone go, just a few last things. So Civic Tech is the bridge that connects technologists, designers, and social activists with government in order to improve communities. For the past 10 years, Code for All has become the bridge that connects civic tech actors around the world. So as we talk about community with Decidim, we talk about community with Code for All. So this is why your contribution fuels a platform that's all about leveraging strengths, celebrating diversity, and fostering collaboration for the greater good of civic tech. Your support isn't just a donation, it's a statement. It says you're a key player in this global movement. You're ready to dive in, share, and make a real impact. I believe we'll be sharing a few links in the chat. If you're interested, you'll be able to find a recording of this panel on the YouTube channel. I believe these are the links that will be shared as well, like a link for the ability to join the Slack space and to receive updates from the global civic tech community for their mailing list. And I believe that's all for us. And again, a huge thanks to all of our wonderful panelists. And I hope everyone checks out and hopefully see some people in Barcelona. Thank you all so much.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
Thank you.